from the Texas Law Shield is Michele Byington. Michele, thanks for joining us tonight. Good to have you with us.
Thank you for having me.
All right, Michele, now can you explain the Stand Your Ground laws and why the American Bar Association is against them?
Well, I don't know why the American Bar Association is so against a very common sense law and a sort of philosophy that goes back to, gosh, the beginning of our American forefathers, where you have the basic right to self-defense. So basically what stand your ground laws are, it means that you have no duty to retreat when you are faced with another's unlawful force or deadly force. It means you do not have to run away. You do not have to retreat to a wall. As long as you would be justified in using force or deadly force to protect yourself or a third person, you don't have to retreat. You don't have to make that split-second decision in determining whether you can get out of this place safely or not.
So to capitulate, each state has different stand your ground laws. So you have to be careful, because if you're in the situation of having to defend yourself, it kind of depends on where you are, right?
That is exactly right. Every state is different. So for instance, here in Texas, our stand your ground laws are pretty good. As long as you are in a place where you have a legal right to be, you're not committing a crime, and you're not an initial aggressor, you get the no duty to retreat protection. In contrast to that, up in New Jersey, you must be in your own home, and only when you are in your own home and faced with force or deadly force do you have no duty to retreat. So it's incredibly important that you are educated on your state's laws.
So I really don't get it, because how is it that the American Bar Association can say that these laws are racist? They say they cause it to be open season on minorities, but isn't a lot of crime, in fact, the majority of crime that taking place on minorities?
Well, this really has nothing to do with minorities. It has to do with the basic human concept of survival. You have a right to survival no matter what color you are. It doesn't matter that you're black, white, Mexican, Indian, Pakistani, but it doesn't matter. It comes down to whether you were justified in using deadly force and that you were lawful in doing so, and therefore had no duty to retreat. You didn't have to make that split-second decision of of getting out of there. And why the ABA is touting this as a racial issue and open season on black males, it's beyond me. And to be frank with you, it's why I canceled my subscription to the American Bar Association a long time ago.
Well, I think we'll be seeing a little bit more of that, just like the professional organizations for doctors, for example, where most doctors don't belong to the American Medical Association because they don't like their politics. I think when these professional associations get involved in politics, we get in trouble. But speaking of politics, I'm curious if you've had a chance to check out Donald Trump's concealed carry policy that he posted on his website. It made big news last week. Should we have a national standard for stand your ground laws, or is that best left to individual states? And if you did see Donald Trump's comment on that, I'd like your opinion.
Well, I will have to say that I think it's best left to states' rights. I am a proponent of a small federal government. I think that the federal government should fear the people and not the other way around. And so I believe it should be left up to the individual states to make these sorts of decisions. And of course, I'm from the great state of Texas, so I'm obviously a very big proponent of liberal and lenient gun laws, because it's, you know, the only way to stop a bad man with a gun is a good man or a good woman with the gun.
I mean, really, Michele, I want to ask you this, because if the bar is going to come out so strongly like this, what do they recommend for people who are in their homes, especially single mothers, maybe with an insane ex-husband, and you've got the restraining order against him, but only so much can be done, and women die like this every day. And what is their option aside from self-defense in that particular scenario? What's the bar recommending?
I don't know. It goes against complete common sense, where people like you and I just don't get it. All I can figure is that they want to leave women and everybody defenseless and just become victims. And we cannot be victims. Let's refuse to be victims and not have to depend on the government when the government is not around.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Michele, we'll hope that they come to their senses and back out of politics, especially for folks like you, who it is nice to have an association, a professional association, but not if they're going to be impeding on people's constitutional rights. And this is pretty clear in the Second Amendment. So thank you for being with us, Michele.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.